Good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, November 25th, Thanksgiving Day. Whoopee. Or no, Thanksgiving Day is tomorrow. It's Thanksgiving Eve, I guess. I'm very confused as to what time it is, apparently, and what day, and what month, and possibly what year. Anyway, today we're going to talk about dealing with holiday stress. And usually what I do is I put up a post in the Women in Garment Decoration group, and I let people know that it's okay if you don't love the holidays, if you're feeling stressed about the holidays, anything like that, that's fine. It's not a big deal. But I thought this year, since this podcast is the day before Thanksgiving, I would just go ahead and do a podcast instead and talk about stress and some ways to deal with it and why we get stressed and all that sort of thing. So that's basically what the plan is for today. Also, I wanted to let you all know I'm experimenting with some different lighting. My set dresser lives in Minnesota, so I'm doing it all by remote control, and I don't think I got it right, but I'm trying. I'm still trying. So if things look a little weird, that's because the light's a little different than it normally is. I'm trying a few different things. Hopefully my set dresser will show up at some point and let me know if I did it right or not. But anyway, to the topic that we're discussing today, and that would be stress and how women deal with it and why women are stressed during the holidays. And I think if you look at a few statistics, it's pretty easy to see why women are stressed. The APA, which is the American Psychological Association, did a study about stress during the holidays, and they found that 44% of women said their stress levels were higher than normal during the holidays versus 31% of men. When asked if they felt they were able to relax over the holidays, only 27% of women said yes. And this is in contrast to 41% of men who said they felt relaxed. And the reasons that they feel not relaxed and stressed are very numerous. Women are nearly twice as likely to report that they will cook, 66% of women versus 35% of men, shop for food, 52% of women versus 32% of men, and clean dirty dishes, 70% of women versus 41% of men. Men, on the other hand, are nearly twice as likely as women to report that they will watch football, 26% of women versus 46% of men. Now, I partly have to ask a little bit if the not watching football thing is because maybe football isn't that interesting to some women, but you get the idea. You've got men reporting they're going to relax more and that a lesser percentage of them are going to be handling the cooking, the cleaning, and the shopping, and you have women taking this on in addition to everything else that they're already doing. So it ends up being rather a thing. And I have a comment here from Facebook user. If you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, you can give them permission and they'll tell me who you are. Unfortunately, right now I can't see who you are, but the comment is, my birthday, trying to decide to work or not work today. I will feel guilty if I don't today and tomorrow. Decisions. And I get that. And, you know, it's a tough thing to navigate sometimes because you need to do the work, you need to make the money, you need to keep the business going, you have all those things to do. And it's a holiday coming up and you have all the responsibilities of the holiday, or you feel like you do. And so it ends up being very hard to deal with and hard to make the decision. Do you choose, essentially, in a way, do you choose yourself and what you want to do and what you need to do to relax and de-stress, or do you choose your family and what they need you to do, or making the holiday whatever it needs to be and all that sort of stuff? So what I want to talk about today is really some ways to look at this situation and maybe mitigate some of the stress, deal with it, make the holiday a little nicer for yourself, make the holiday a little nicer for your family, deal with all these things that are swirling around holidays for a lot of people. And the first thing that I want to talk about is dealing with the reality and not the fantasy. This is one I tripped over for a really long time. And just to give you some background, personally, I am not at all enamored of the holidays. I don't like them. And this is largely because of the fantasy that my family kept trying to enact and the reality that we always ran into. The reality was we couldn't pull a holiday together if there was just no way we could do it. Someone got drunk, someone had a fight. There were presents that were given to, who people wanted you to be and not who you really were. It was all a thing. So the first thing you need to get rid of is the fantasy of what the holiday is supposed to be, which is the lovely family gathered around the table and there's a beautiful spread and mom's smiling and wearing an apron and dad's cutting the turkey and all the kids are happy and the grandparents are there, or it's Christmas and every kiss begins with K or whatever you want to say. And, you get the perfect gifts and the tree's perfect and the decor is perfect and the food is perfect and everybody's perfect. Nobody ever has, the flu or is sad or depressed or angry with anyone else in the family or just not into it or tired or stressed or busy or anything. There's this fantasy that's built up around the holidays that they're the happiest time of the year and that they're for family and they're for, just togetherness and it's all about love and it will magically fix all the things that are wrong in your particular life. And the reality is that's not always the case, especially this year with COVID and the number of people that have died of COVID or are sick with COVID. There are families that are going to have lost people. There are families that are dealing with illness. There are all these sorts of things happening. And that doesn't fit in the fantasy at all. Plus, you've got people who are stressed over money and worried about paying the mortgage and how are they going to deal with their kids that they now need to homeschool and all this kind of stuff. And none of that fits in the fantasy either. So the first thing you need to do is just really look at what's the reality of my situation? What am I dealing with that may get in the way of making a fantasy Christmas for someone? And let's see what other comments here. Well, nobody is showing, nobody who's on Facebook apparently is showing me who they are. So StreamYard.com/Facebook will let me know who you are. Why StreamYard is being bulky today, I don't know. Apparently it's Heidi's birthday, so happy birthday, Heidi. And it looks like Pilar is here as well. So thank you, Pilar, for being here. And thank you, Heidi, for being here. So the first thing, like I said, is deal with the reality, not the fantasy, because the fantasy is going to kick you in the ass, honestly, because you want it to be the perfect Christmas. You want your significant other to give you the perfect jewelry, or you want your family to give you the perfect present, or, you want everything. You want your Thanksgiving to be every bit of the meal to be perfectly succulent and it's all marvelous. And, everybody wants this stuff, but it doesn't necessarily happen that way. So one way to really get rid of a lot of the stress is to just deal with whatever your reality is. If you're worried about the mortgage, if you're worried about homeschooling your kids, if you're just plain tired, if you're dealing with COVID in some way, or if you're dealing with another sickness or whatever it is, just deal with that. Don't think that it has to be what you see on television or what you see in the Hallmark movies or whatever it is, because this is so not the case. Oh, Tanya, I can see you. And it says, am I? I don't know what that means. Yes, you are, Tanya. I can see your name. And Pilar, I can see that you are now Pilar. And I like this comment, so I'm going to put it up. When I have those blinding stress times, I try to think, oh, what can I control? If I can't control the outcome, release the energy and leave it to the universe. And that's exactly true. You can only control what you can control. And mostly what you can control is your attitude and what you choose to think is important and what you choose to think is not important. So that's right on the money there, Pilar. And I think it's a great concept to put out there that, what can you control? What can you deal with? What can you actually impact? And the rest of it, let it go, because you can't make other people do anything they don't want to do or enjoy the holidays if they don't enjoy them. You can't make the meal come out exactly the way you want it to. You can't make the universe do the things that you want it to do. The only thing you can control is your attitude and the stuff that's right in your particular bailiwick. So if we're not dealing with the reality, so once we've dealt with the reality, the next thing is screw the rules. And this comes from something that Jillian Allen put up in the Women in Garment Decoration group a couple days ago about somebody said, I need to wash the dishes, but I have to run them through and clean them off before I put them in the dishwasher. And I'm so depressed and I'm so exhausted that I don't want to do that. So the dishes just sit in the sink instead of getting washed. And the person to whom they were saying this said, where is there a rule that you can only run the dishwasher once? Put them in the dishwasher and run it twice. And maybe you end up using a little more water, but the dishes get clean. There's no rule that says that it has to be a certain way. And there's no rule that says the holidays have to be a certain way. Honestly, if your idea of a holiday is Netflix and a pizza, if you can get a pizza on Thanksgiving, that might be a little iffy, but or Netflix and KFC or whatever you want to do, and you just want to sit, or you want to play games, or you want to have turkey sandwiches instead of a whole turkey meal, you're the only one that has to make the rules for your holiday. I have to say, when I figured that out, my holidays got so much better, because I had done years and years of dreading the holidays and hating the holidays and just not, we'd hit roundabout now and I would just be depressed as all heck because I didn't like the holidays. The best Christmas I ever had was the first Christmas I went, nope, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying home. Unless I get an invite that I really want to go to, I'm just staying here and I'm hanging out with myself. And I read books and I watched TV and I slept in and I made a nice meal for myself and it was fabulous. Now, I will say a few things. I'm not particularly, I'm not close with my family. We don't really get along. So it wasn't like I was missing a lot of people or a lot of traditions or anything. It was actually a relief to not have to deal with any of that. I just did my own thing. And that's what I've been doing for the holidays ever since. And it's a hell of a lot less stressful for me. It's a heck of a lot more fun. And those are my rules now. My rules are, I will do what makes me comfortable and keeps my stress level low. And if you can't accept that or understand that, then I'm sorry. That's kind of how it goes. And let's see, we got some more comments here. So let's see what we got. Heidi, this is Heidi. We were grocery shopping last week. Much? I don't know what much is. And my husband asked if we had everything. I said, if not, we will survive. Yes. And I believe this is Sandy Joe because I saw something that said Sandy Joe had mentioned you. Hi, Sandy Joe. Glad you're here. And we are not perfect. Our holidays will not be perfect. The most important thing is we are with the loved ones we can be with, and we can find time to relax and share the love with them. Definitely. And here's another, I love these big comments. That's a great philosophy for many areas in life. I remember being on a trip with my hubby when we were first married. He had wanted to see the coast, but we were flying home that day. I said, let's change our plans. Let's go rent a car and go where we want. He was shocked, and I told him, we're adults. We can do what makes us happy. And that right there is huge. I'm an adult. I can do what makes me happy. And, don't get me started on this because I'll do a whole hour on this. But one of the biggest myths I think that is out there, particularly around the holidays, is that it's about family, and family always wants you to be happy, and family is, you should be with your family. Now, if you have a family that you love and they love you and they're, you know, they build up your self-esteem and they're kind to you and they're loving and all that sort of stuff, then yeah, be with them. Be with them. But if they're not that way, then maybe it's time to make a new rule. And the rule is I get to have a holiday where I feel good about myself. And there's nothing wrong with that. And the travel memory is from Pilar. So thank you, Pilar. I appreciate you sharing that. And it is a great, great. Okay. And then this is from Sandy Joe. Okay. So hi, everybody. I still can't see your names, but I know who's here now, and I appreciate that. So let's go on to the next thing. This is one, expect help. And this is one, when I was doing research, I was gathering my stats, I was looking at the various things that people are writing about women in holidays and stress. And one of the things, and there were a lot of rules that made me want to, or a lot of suggestions that made me want to punch people in the face, because apparently I'm feeling violent today. But, you know, things like get a new perfume. I'm like, what? And there were a lot of, one of the things that was said most often was ask for help, ask for help. And I'm like, the only problem with that is asking for help assumes that the other person shouldn't just help, that it's your responsibility to make the holiday and do the decorating and make the food and make an experience for everybody else who's in your group, your family or whoever's attending the holiday or whatever it is. And they're not expected to do anything. Which I think is why a lot of women get so stressed, because somewhere in the tradition, it became the woman's job to create the atmosphere and make the snacks and create the dinner and wrap the presents and buy the presents and shop for the meal and, you know, do all the things that traditionally are expected to be done during the holidays. And ask for help implies that nobody else has that responsibility except you. I don't think that's right, honestly. So I'm changing that to expect help. Don't ask people, tell them. I need to do X, Y, and Z. Which one of these things do you want to take? We need to shop for the food. I need to decorate the house. And I need to buy 5 more presents for these people. Which one of these things do you want to do? And, you know, you can get everybody involved. Little kids can decorate cookies. Little kids can help decorate the house. You don't have to take it all on yourself. But the kind of traditional expectation is the holidays are for everybody but women. That women will cook, women will buy the presents, women will decorate the house, women will do whatever it is that needs to be done to make sure that there's a nice holiday that happens for the family or the group of friends or whatever it is. And this is not to say that men don't help or that men don't get into holidays. I'm sure there are those that do. I mean, you know, my stepdad always cooked for the holidays and he was a very good cook. So there are men who do, but overall, the responsibility to kind of get it all going and keep it all going is left on the women. And, you know, there are women who this is their thing and they love it and they get into the holidays and, you know, it's their thing and they really like it. And if it is, that's great. But there, even if it is, that doesn't mean that you still can't expect that other people will help you. I mean, if you're doing a group dinner for somebody, assign you know, for a group of people, for your family, for your friends, assign everybody something to make. You know, that was one of the things that really just annoyed me the most, is most of the tips that I saw for dealing with stress were like, you know, take a half an hour for yourself, or go buy some new perfume, or, you know, other silly. And I was like, you know what? No, make other people do stuff. You know, don't carry the whole burden yourself. You don't have to do that. And you don't have to be a wench about it. I mean, you don't have to be like drill sergeant about it. But at the same time, you don't have to be a martyr about it either. And you don't have to approach people and go, well, you know, I really have a lot to do. Can you help me maybe? No, don't. I ran into this with my family a few years after, I think it was like a year or so after I bought this house that I live in now. My sister arbitrarily decided that I should have Christmas at my house. And I said, I'm really not ready to have Christmas at my house. It's not decorated the way I want yet. I'm really not too comfortable about that. And I probably expressed it a little more vehemently than that. But I basically was guilted into doing that. And then pretty much nobody ended up coming. So it was a thing. But what I learned from that was my instinct was, no, I don't want to do that this year. I'm not ready to do that this year. And I kind of got guilted into it by the holiday expectations that I should want to do it. So I didn't listen to myself. I didn't listen to my voice, which was saying, no, I don't want to do that. And as it turned out, it was a fiasco all the way around. So if I had listened to myself, we probably would have ended up in the same place, which was people were mad and unhappy, and, you know, it just didn't work out. So now, could I have changed that by saying, okay, I'll do it, but you guys have to bring the stuff and I'm not buying a tree, and, you know, maybe. With my family, probably not, but maybe it's possible. I don't know. So let's see what other comments we have here. Well, first of all, let's turn the banner off because, you know, I'm my own producer. Can you tell? Huh. StreamYard is just, yeah, I know. I'm sorry, guys. StreamYard is just being annoying today, and I don't know why. I didn't see any notification that it was having issues, but it seems to be being annoying today. So I'm sorry about that, guys. I wish I knew what to tell you. But in any case, please keep commenting, and you know, if you want, just put this is from whoever and then whatever you want to say, and then I'll know who you all are. I certainly do appreciate you all being here. It's amazing to see you all, especially right before the holiday. So here's another thing that I think people don't do, and it's the next little tip on my list, and that's admit when it's too much. And people don't do that. They kind of just, they feel bad. If they're stressed or they're sad during the holidays, they feel like somehow they've betrayed something, or somehow they've, you know, they're letting everybody down, and they shouldn't be, you know, they shouldn't be feeling those things. And it's like the holidays are not joy and starlight for everybody. They're just not. I'm sorry. For some people, it's a rough time of year. And if it gets to be too much, if you're too stressed by the workload, if you're too stressed by the expectations, if you just need to be sad for a while, then just admit that. And don't feel bad about the fact that, you know, this is where you're at right now. It's again, it goes back to what Pilar was saying. It's one of those things that you control what you can. And sometimes you can't control the fact that you're sad, or you're stressed, or you're overworked, or you're worried about things and it's impacting your attitude or whatever it is. So you need to keep all that stuff in mind. And let's see what we've got here. Thank you, Pilar. We are still here with you, and we can see each other. We'll try to remember to tag ourselves. Well, as long as you guys can see each other, that's what matters. But I just appreciate you all being here, because I really was kind of skeptical that anybody would be watching this today, because it is right before the holiday, and I know everybody has holiday stuff to be doing. But I think this is an important one, because I know for myself, and I know from other people, that sometimes holidays are a lot of stress. And they can be really sad, especially if you've just lost a family member, or you're having, family problems of some kind, or you're having health problems or whatever it is. So if it's just too much, it's too much. And again, like I said, there's no rules. So if what you need to do to have a nice Thanksgiving is, watch The Crown on Netflix and eat Chinese food, then you know what? Do it. Who's going to tell you no? Who's going to argue with you? Anyone that cares about you will understand that you're having a rough time and this is what you need to do. And honestly, I think the expectations are so huge sometimes that just getting out from under them is an enormous relief, because everything that's out there in literature and movies and books and magazine articles and holidays are great and everybody's happy and everybody's loved and families all get along and all that. And it's like, that's not the reality for everybody. But we don't want to talk about that because we want it to be this magical fairy wonderland. And it's like, that's nice, but it's not really what always happens. And so we need to accept that, and we need to acknowledge it, and we need to admit that to ourselves, and we need to admit it to other people. And we need to have a throat that doesn't screw up. But the whole thing is hard to deal with sometimes. It really is. I like this too. Decide what kind of life you want and then say no to everything that isn't that. And yes, that's totally true. That is totally true. And it's really hard to do sometimes. But, you only get one life, and you're the only one who can shape it the way you want it to be. And there's a lot of forces that'll tell you that you shouldn't want what you want. And you shouldn't. I mean, I fought against this for years. My family would tell me, why don't you want to come to holidays? And why don't you want to be with us? And why don't you enjoy this stuff? And, how do you explain to people that you're not nice to me? You don't treat me like you even like me sometimes. So why do I want to spend time with you? And there was this weight of expectations of I was supposed to enjoy all this, and I was supposed to want to be the person that they wanted me to be. And it was like, and I wasn't. And that's just the reality of the situation. But I have to say that soured me on holidays for probably the rest of time, because I've never had an experience. And this is kind of sad when I think about it, but I've never really had an experience where I went to a holiday and went, wow, I really enjoyed that. It was fun. I felt like that was a good experience. And, that's just the reality of my situation. It is how it is. But it makes me look at holidays a different way than a lot of people do, I guess. So this is another important thing. Learn to say no. It's hard to do, especially when it's family, especially when you're getting hit by the weight of expectations. When people are telling you, you should like this, you should want to do this, you should be happy about doing this. It's tough because, you don't, especially before you learn to set boundaries and you learn to acknowledge your own reality, it's really hard to stand up and say, I'm not a big fan of Christmas. I don't really like it. And people are like, how can you not like Christmas? I love Christmas. I love Elf on the Shelf. And I put my Christmas tree up in October. And, I love midnight mass. And I love going and singing Silent Night and candlelight service or whatever it is and all that. And some of that stuff I love too. I mean, I sang in church choirs for years and did candlelight service and did Christmas carols at nursing homes and sang in elementary schools for Christmas and, did a jazz version of Santa Claus is Coming to Town that I still like. Can't sing it anymore, but I still like it. So there are things about the holidays that I like. But for the most part, I'm cool with not really acknowledging them all that much. other than, and here's the other thing that's really hard. And another reason why you need to learn to say no is a lot of people do things at the holidays because they think they should. And like, I have had the experience in the past where every year at a place that I worked some time ago, there was a Christmas luncheon. And I always hated the Christmas luncheon, and I never could quite figure out why. And then I realized that it was because the company owners who were putting on the luncheon didn't really want to put on the luncheon. They thought they had to. And so they kind of did it begrudgingly, and they sort of did it in a way that was like, okay, fine, we got to do this now, and then let's get it over with. And so I never felt like it was anything that was well meant, or that the people who were doing it were enjoying it or really wanted to do it, or really were looking at it as, let's reward our employees for the great work that they did, or anything like that. Which, fair enough. I don't know if I owned a company, if I'd be like, yay, let's have a Christmas party. If I did, I hope I could do it in the spirit of, I want to do this for my employees so they have a nice time and they know I appreciate them. But again, sometimes you have to say no to people's expectations. You have to say no to the idea that you're going to cook the whole Thanksgiving dinner, or you have to say no to the idea that you're going to fly somewhere and stay for a week, or you have to say no to the idea that you're going to host at your house, or whatever it is. You have to say no to all those things because they're not the right things for you, and they just add stress to your plate. And the thing is, if you do something without really wanting to do it, or without wholeheartedly enjoying it, people are going to know. And then it ends up being a source of, anger or sadness or contention or whatever it is. And that doesn't help anybody. So who needs that? So, oh boy, here's a big one. Talk about a stressful holiday. My grandma, Mom's mom, recently passed away. A few days later, Mom was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. I reached my stress limit last week with all the appointments and the heaviness of it all. I called 2 of my friends and we hung out for the day last Sunday. That was my break before the holiday crazy. With Mom living with us, every day is a reminder to know my limits. This year has taught me to let go and just do what I can do. And again, I can't see a name on that, but I'm sorry to hear about your grandmother and your mom, and I know how stressful caring for someone who's dealing with cancer can be, because I did that with my mother. But yeah, you have to say no sometimes, and you do have to let go, and you have to just realize you can only do what you can do. The thing you have to remember, and where no comes in so usefully, is when you're trying to set boundaries, when you're trying to do what's right for you. And I'm going to tell you a story, and I don't know if this story makes me look all that great, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway, because it was when I really learned about boundaries. My mother died 18 years ago in September of liver cancer. And, prior to her dying, she had about 3 years where she was going for treatment and going for chemo and doing all those things. And at one point, she had found a person up here who supposedly had an all-natural treatment regimen, up here being northern Michigan, where I live. And she lived downstate further. And she wanted to come and basically live with me in what was then my apartment and go to this treatment. Now, my mom and I had a difficult relationship, let's put it that way. I think we've talked in the group a couple of times about emotional vampires. She had a lot of great qualities. I admired a lot of things about her, but oh my, she was a serious emotional vampire. And I knew if she came to live with me, that I was going to be responsible for supporting her through all the treatment, that I was going to have to deal with temper tantrums, that I was going to have to deal with tears, that I was going to have to deal with demands on my time. And I knew that I just couldn't hack it. That I wanted to help her, but I could not have her living in my house. So I told her no. And it was one of the first times that I'd ever set a boundary. And one of the first times that I'd said, you know what, I'm going to do what's good for me because I know this is not going to end well for me. There was a lot of blowback for it. There was a lot of resentment because of it. But for me, it was like such a relief because I finally went, you know what? I got to do what's right for me. I got to do the thing that's going to take care of me. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. It was really, really hard to do. And saying no is a hard thing to do, particularly to family members or people that have expectations, particularly to people that'll hit you with, well, if you loved me, you'd do this. If you cared about me, you'd do this. You know, but my answer to that was pretty much, well, if you loved me, you wouldn't ask. You know, so I guess, and like I said, there are aspects of that story that don't make me proud. I wish that we had the kind of relationship where I could have said, yes, and I'll totally support you, and you know, it would have been a loving exchange and I could have helped. As it turned out, I was able to help quite a lot, and we did address a lot of things and repair some of the damage before she died, which I'm very glad about. But a lot of that started because I set a boundary and I said no. And I'm not going to lie, it was not easy. And that was kind of when I started to learn that, okay, it's all right for me to do what is right for me. That I don't have to sacrifice myself to make other people happy. Because oftentimes, even sacrificing myself didn't make other people happy. Because I didn't do it right, or I didn't do it the way they thought I should. So why not just not do it? And they're still going to be unhappy, but at least I'll be happy. So somebody's happy. That's a lot of happies in one sentence, I know, but think about it that way. You know, and why are you worth less than other people? Why is your happiness and your lack of stress and your equilibrium or whatever, why is that less than what other people have the right to? There's a lot of questions that you really need to ask yourself when you start looking at it. The problem is that it's really hard to do when it's people that are in your family or that are who have been friends of yours for a long time, or when you realize that, hey, maybe you've been letting some stuff slide that you shouldn't have. I don't know. It's a thing. But learning to say no is very helpful, and I think it's very useful. And I think that it's a skill that we should all learn. And we have a greeting. I wonder why I can see some people and not other people. That's so weird. Lisa, I'm really glad you're here. Thank you for being here. So let's go on to the next one here. And this is something that I saw in a lot of the, what to do to deal with holiday stress that I do think is right, which is take time for yourself. And not take time for yourself in the sense of stop cooking Thanksgiving so you can go work on the books for your business. It's take time for yourself so you relax and you do something that you enjoy. Because, the reality of the situation is that, especially this year, beyond all other years, there's a lot of stress going around right now. There's a lot of people that are stressed about money and stressed about time and stressed about their kids getting educated and stressed about getting sick or their family getting sick, or are dealing with the stress of losing someone to COVID, or dealing with money worries, or, there's any gazillion number of things that you can be dealing with. So you have to be aware of taking time for yourself in the sense that you do something that rejuvenates you, that distresses you, that helps you feel better and more capable. And so take time for yourself is not take 5 minutes in the bathroom without the cat reaching under the door or the kids pulling on the doorknob. It's actually taking some time. Now, I have to say, this is one that I have an abundance of time for myself because I don't have any kids and I'm not in a relationship right now. So all my time is mine, basically, except what I choose to give to the groups I work with or the people I work with or whatever it is. So for me, but I also am of a personality, and I understand this, that I need a lot of time to myself. And that's something that's one thing that I have to say, I think we've made some strides in, is realizing, because when I was a kid, I would get shoved in these group situations where there were tons of people, family reunions and things, and I top out on crowds. And I top out on contact with a lot of people pretty quick. I need quiet. I need solitude. I need time to myself. And when you're a kid, nobody listens to you when you say that. And you can't really articulate what it is because you don't know yourself well enough yet to know what the problem is. You just know that you hate this and you don't want to be here and you're stressed and you end up crying all the time. And it took me a really long time to figure out that for me, most people can wear on me. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just, it takes a lot of energy for me to interact with other people because I don't tend to do it on a surface level. I tend to want to go for more deep conversations and learning about people and really getting to know them. And that takes a lot of energy. So I need time to recharge. And I think there are more people like me out there, but it's not, we're more aware of it now than I think we were when I was growing up, which I think is an amazing thing. Because there are kids out there now that are getting the space that they need to deal with their particular personality needs. So definitely take time for yourself, whatever that looks like. Watch a movie, take a bath, go for a run, make your favorite soup, play the piano, make a mug, sew a needlepoint, sew a needlepoint. I don't know what it is. But anyway, do whatever it is that makes you feel rejuvenated and refreshed and rested and ready to take on whatever's next. And don't be ashamed of doing it and don't ask to do it. Don't feel guilty about doing it. One of the things that's really hard, I think, is that a lot of times women are told you need to ask to do things or you need to get permission somehow. And it's like, no, I'm an adult. I have, it's my life. I can do what I need to do to keep myself healthy and sane, just like I would expect anybody else in my life, friend, family member, romantic partner, whoever it was, to do the same thing, So take time for yourself and take time to look at yourself and figure out what it is that you need instead of just assuming that you need certain things. Sorry, my voice went a little weird there. And then the last thing I want to say, and this is cliche, I know, but it's not be thankful just in the let's go around the dinner table and say the thing that we're thankful for this year, even though I think that's a good practice too. And it's one of the parts of Thanksgiving that I really quite enjoy. But it's more just really take a minute and look at your life and have some gratitude for everything that's good in it. And there's almost always something good you can find to be grateful for. I mean, and it can be something small, it can be something big. Just take a minute and reflect on, and it might be something as simple as, you know what? I made it through this friggin' year. I'm almost done. And I'm still here and I'm still reasonably sane. And that's a big thing to be thankful for. I mean, among the things that I'm thankful for, certainly the women in garment decoration groups, certainly the 2 regular guys and all the other friends that are regulators, and all the things that have, all the things that have happened because of the people that I know and the groups that I'm part of. And, that's a huge thing to be thankful for. And I'm really proud of that. Hi, Martha. Nice to see you. And I'm really proud of that. So I think we all need to take the time to just really look at our lives and go, damn, there's more here to be thankful for than I would have thought otherwise. And that's really, I don't know. Here's my thing. And here's why I really wanted to do this little conversation today, because every year, and I may still put it up, I do put up something in the Women in Garment Decoration group. And basically what I say is the holidays are not fun for everybody. The holidays are not easy for everybody. And if you need to talk to somebody, if you need some support, if you just need to express that, hey, I'm not feeling in the holiday spirit, whatever that is this year, go for it. We're here. We'll listen. We'll commiserate. We'll tell you that you're all right. All those things. And it seemed like, since I do this podcast, that this is something that women deal with. The stats I read show they deal with holiday stress probably disproportionately as opposed to men. There's a lot of expectations on top of a lot of expectations that are already there. And it also is the problem of the responsibility of making the holiday great for everybody else often falls on the shoulders of the women. And, making a holiday great for someone else is a hard thing to do sometimes, because what makes a holiday great is individual to every particular person. So it's hard to say, it's hard to always know what's going to do it for somebody else. And I think that's a huge responsibility to carry. Anytime you take responsibility for making someone else happy or sad or grateful or anything, that's a huge responsibility. And it's a really hard thing to do. And honestly, I think, personal opinion, you can take it with a grain of salt if you like, that everybody should be responsible for making their own holiday what they want it to be. And yes, I know if you have a 4-year-old, that's a little tough to do. But, or if you have teenagers, maybe that's a little hard to do. But within the parameters of how old they are and what they're capable of doing, everybody should be responsible for their own holiday. It should not fall on anyone's shoulders to make a good holiday for everybody. But that's just my opinion, and you can take that, with a grain of salt. The one thing I do want to say before I go is, I've been pretty vocal for some time now that I'm not a big fan of the holidays. And I know for some people, they feel like they don't understand that, or, well, that makes me totally negative about the holidays. No, I'm not negative about the holidays. I think the holidays are great for a lot of people. I know a lot of people get a lot of pleasure and a lot of satisfaction and a lot of good family feeling out of it. And I think that's amazing. That's not been my experience. So my holidays are structured a little differently. But for those of you that love them, more power to you. I hope you get every ounce of joy and satisfaction you can out of them. And I'm probably going to pull this to an end here, because I know that people do have holiday stuff to do for tomorrow. And I'm kind of at the end of my little conversation that I had put together here. And I hope this was helpful for some of you. I hope you were able to get a few things out that you wanted to say. I wish you all the happiest of Thanksgivings. I am thankful for all of you. I am grateful for all of you. I appreciate so much that you took a little time out of your day today to come and listen to me pontificate on holiday stress. And hopefully I will see you next Tuesday at 11 p.m. 11 p.m. Central or 11 p.m. Eastern. I'm not sure which, but Carolyn Cagle and I will be talking about social media on her Tuesday Tools broadcast. And then Wednesday, I'll be doing something. I'm not sure what yet. And then Friday is the Friday, December 4th is the Women in Garment Decoration version of the Two Regular Guys podcast. And that's going to be Pilar and Kelly DeFries and Tanya and Allison Banholzer. So you should really all come and listen to that, because that's going to be really amazing. And yes, Tanya, it is AM, not PM. And thank you, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving all from Heidi. I hope you all have a lovely weekend from Pilar. And Tanya, I believe, is referring to the fact that when Carolyn originally put the Tuesday Tools up, she put it up at 11 p.m., which would be really late at night. And which is kind of late at night for a podcast. And even though I'll be up then, I don't know that I want to talk about social media then. So yes, it is AM. But I hope you will all be there on Tuesday, December 1st for that podcast. And then on Friday the 4th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard for the Two Regular Guys Women in Garment Decoration podcast. Again, thank you all. I appreciate you being here. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays. I'll see you all around in the Women in Garment Decoration group, and I hope you have a lovely Thanksgiving. I'll talk to you next week. Bye, guys. Ladies.